What's going on, Panda fam? This is your man, Tambourine Panda, back live with supporter status only with the freaking Picard review series with my boy, Grant Sabo. And we got a little special guest tonight by way of Brother Panda, so get ready for a little bit of a review series here today.
Do you have a gamer tag?
No.
Brother Panda it is then?
Brother Panda does not. He just, you know, it's brother. It's Brother Panda.
So that if there's somebody from the street like, can I friend you? And I was like, I got a lot of other friends. I don't.
So anyway, supporters, how's everybody doing tonight? I hope this is live for just you guys. I think I got this all set up and figured out. Let us know how everything's sounding. Everything's going. Ooh, the stream's starting. Music's really loud still. Let me turn that back down. Hey everybody, now you can probably hear me a lot better. So we're joined tonight with Grant Sabo. We got Brother Panda as a special guest, and we are coming to you guys tonight with a little bit of the Captain Picard, the Star Trek Picard episode 2 review. So this is for supporters only. Remember, you guys are getting episodes 2 through 9, and everybody else gets only 1 and 10. So you guys get everything. Everybody else only gets 1 and 10. So this is some of the supporter exclusive content that I've been meaning to do for you guys. So welcome in. I hope you enjoy yourselves. Relax, strap in, and enjoy the review. So last week we had the first episode, which was a pretty damn good episode, I gotta say. We were talking about this a little bit a couple of days ago, I think, about how the reviews have gone up on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, I know Rotten Tomatoes is not like your typical like be-all end-all as far as reviews and stuff go.
Yeah, but even when you talk about other things, it's referenced. You know, the media will reference that. The Rotten Tomatoes score, it's usually the kind of the go-to metric.
For sure. Hey, Justin, thank you for the like on the stream, man. Appreciate that very, very much.
I don't think I've ever trusted what the critic score is, though. It's always like, what's the audience?
Yeah, and that's true. That's general consensus as well.
And
it's trust the audience score.
It's a combination between both with Rotten Tomatoes, and then you check Metacritic too as well. And anyway, what I've been meaning to say with that is it started off on its debut. I think it was at like a 95% critic review and a 75 or 76 on the audience score, if I'm not mistaken. And it's gone up since then. We're at 81% in the audience score and 94% on the critic score. Metacritic has it at 77%. So it was pretty well received. I watched a couple of YouTube videos myself on it after we did this review last week. And I gotta say, a couple of the YouTubers that normally are very skeptical in regards to these sorts of shows, maybe hear some preliminary news or knowledge or whatever, and they report on that. I'm not saying they reported as fact or anything like that, but I was pleased to see that they all were kind of in agreement as far as the quality of the episode. They enjoyed it, in other words. So last week was a great intro episode, and this week is a particularly good setup episode. We were talking about that a little bit off stream. In regard to just kind of the little nuggets that were sprinkled around throughout the episode. Also, guys, please let us know if the audio is coming in okay for you. We've kind of got the microphone set up a little different. It's not like super close to me. Not that it usually is. Yeah, doors closed.
I'm gonna sound far away probably.
Hopefully everything is a little bit better sound quality wise. But anyway, so just the nuggets of the episode. Now, I got a slideshow for you guys this week as far as trying to keep everything, a little bit more interactive here for you. We've prepared slides for you. Oh, we're so high tech. Don't mention that it took me like an hour and a half to get this shit prepared for you guys. But anyway, so the opening sequence from this episode, I thought the opening sequence was a good one. Good. I would say, what was it, 10 minutes about?
Yeah, a little less, but yeah.
Really kind of highlighting what happened.
Yeah, it goes back in time.
On Utopia Planitia. What was it? How many years ago was it again?
It was like 15-ish, 20-ish
okay.
In there.
And does a really good job of kind of highlighting what 15. Happened. I think it's 15 years ago. It was, and the interesting thing to point out, too, was it was First Contact Day.
Yes, yeah, so they celebrate First Contact Day.
Which is really cool. They're celebrating First Contact Day, and, they have this scene you get this nice picture of the shipyards and everything, and just a really cool sequence for those of you who may not have read the comics or watched any videos on it or got any preliminary stuff, because they go into that a lot before the actual show airs. And they kind of hint at it in the last episode with the interview with Picard and everything.
Yeah, they basically tell you what happened, but this episode is showing you what happened.
Indeed, yeah, it's giving you the show, which is good. Gotta say that the synths are definitely a little creepy looking, although maybe like Data without hair on his head.
Well, so they're not. Data was modeled after Noonien Soong, who created him. Bruce Maddox is probably the guy who invented all of these androids. But the thing that they lack is, and we can get more into this as we talk in the episode, is they lack that thing that Data had, which was sentience. And so these are not sentient beings. They are worker tools that have human-like qualities, but they don't have that spark of life that Data had. And we could get into this more. Actually, we could probably get into it now if you want.
Sure.
So
go ahead, man.
This ties back, and actually, in the first episode and in this episode,
because they talk about this.
Bruce Maddox is the guy who's referenced, and he's mentioned in 2 episodes of The Next Generation. One of them is very early on, and it's one of the best episodes that Next Generation did, according to most people, which is called
What Men Are Made Of.
The Measure of a Man.
The Measure of a Man.
Is called.
Thank
so
you.
the idea is that Bruce Maddox wants to take Data apart.
Right.
Argue. So he's a android researcher. He wants to create an army of androids to kind of like fill in roster spots on starships, basically like to be slaves, essentially.
Yeah.
He wants like an army of like android slaves.
It's like some Dr. Jerome.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like Star Trek, Dr. Jerome.
Yeah, a little bit.
But the thing is, Data
Is he an android?
Yeah.
Like a synth, or like not, or is he just a human?
Maddox
Maddox is human.
He's human.
Yeah, he's human.
Okay.
So he's
I can't remember if Dr. Jerome. I couldn't remember if the parallel worked.
he's trying
Similar.
to like
same but different.
No, nothing like Data has ever been created, and so he wants to like take Data apart and basically reverse engineer him.
Right.
And apparently, still nothing like Data has ever been
As you
created,
would.
except
As you would.
for possibly these girls. But
Well, yeah, we'll get there. So the episode in Next Gen, Measure of a Man, is basically him arguing that Data is not sentient, and that he is like should be taken back to
property.
Starfleet, whatever is Starfleet property, and should be like disassembled. And so Picard basically argues in favor of like Data's existence and proves that he's a sentient being and whatever. And like at one point, like Data resigns his commission in Starfleet. He's like, "Well, now you don't know me, Starfleet. Now what are you gonna do?" And they're like, "No, don't do that." And like,
no.
So the whole thing was pretty fun.
Yeah. It's a good couple of episodes. But again, to go back to this, it's a very good opening scene of just how like, and you can see like, and we got a good shot of the actual like base and everything here, just a nice wide shot. As we transition here. Now this is the interesting picture, the little screen cap here that I grabbed of. They're going through kind of like a normal, like I guess what would be a normal work day on this kind of base. And, they're kind of having their jokes and everything. And there's an exchange between one of the workers and the synth that's pictured up here in the top right corner. And he doesn't get the joke or whatever it is. It's just very interesting to see how these synths work so closely, like with all of the workers.
Yeah,
and for him...
Well, some of the workers treat the synths like garbage. Some of them are like, "Hey, man, like he can hear you. Like let's."
Which was a good.
Do that, yeah.
It was a good way of establishing like some people hate synths and some people are like, they're more human than you might think they are. But it was also really, really interesting to see the. I don't see the chats, by the way.
It's funny that they say.
I am not seeing chats.
funny
If
that-
you're
oh,
seeing
This
any
is so I
chats.
tried doing a watch party.
Oh,
My
okay.
brother jumped on and he's like, "I don't see anything." I'm like, "Nah."
It's because it's supporters only.
Yeah.
That's why. I wonder if we're getting any chats here, guys. 'Cause it's not.
Be like, "You're not part of the band, fam."
Let me just refresh this and see if it does anything. Hold on 1 second, pandas. Let me
exclusive.
do this. Give me 1 second here, folks. Anyway, take a look at the beautiful synth eyes there in the top right corner as I, pull out chats and whatnot. Brother Panda, Justin says, Brother Panda, what's up? Sorry guys, I am.
You know what? I could actually monitor chats on here.
I could do this.
I'll end this.
No, you're
I'm
fine.
not gonna have much to say about this episode, anyways, because
You're fine. So you can monitor it on here too.
Oh, we've got the monitor.
Oh wow,
We fancy.
Oh, yeah,
We super fancy here, guys.
Fancy.
We super fancy over here, guys.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we can. I'm a boomer, but I'm not so boomish. Hey, what's up, Dylan? Good to see you, buddy. Welcome into our Picard review. We're just talking about the second episode, the opening sequence. We're talking about the synths, the interaction, the kind of duality between some people treating the synths like absolute garbage, and some people treating them with a little bit more human compassion.
So we were talking about Bruce Maddox also.
Yes.
Afterwards, he loses out, but Data, because he doesn't have emotions, doesn't have any ill will, and he tells him, hey, I think you should keep going with your research, just don't take me apart to do it.
Please, yeah.
Yeah, and so, he actually helps Maddox as much as he can.
That'd be cool.
There's an episode later on called Data's Day, where he's, sending a copy of what he does on the daily to Maddox.
Oh, nice, okay.
Yeah, and so, those are the two episodes that Maddox is referenced. One he's in, and one he's referenced in Next Gen. Some people are theorizing that this is where Maddox gets the neuron from Data.
Okay.
To make these. And then probably because, it's clear that Data was in communication with Maddox on the daily. And I guess their relationship got pretty good later on.
Okay.
That he might have sent him a copy of this painting.
Oh.
And that's how. So they said if the daughters were made 3 years ago,
so maybe
that's how Maddox would know to use that.
Gotcha. Okay, it's a good theory, man. It's a good. I mean, it seems to follow the logical steps anyway.
Yeah, it nicely connects the dots.
Some unspoken logical steps there. So yeah, I mean, this is really, really. It's like I said, this episode's a very good setup episode in that it really kind of puts a lot of things out there for us to ponder over as far as what's to come in the next 8 episodes after this. So anyway, you've got this really cool picture, so I'm going to point over that way or this way. This really sorry, I'm very spatially incapable here. This way, this picture of the synth eyes up there at the top right. And the reason I caught this is because this was right when whatever it was that they were doing to take down the defenses of Utopia Planitia. Yeah, we're gonna dab over to the. Jesus Christ, you guys are ridiculous. Anyway, so this is supposed to be them flickering or something happening.
So here's the thing: the synths aren't. This is not Skynet. They're not becoming self-aware. This is not Terminator.
Something's controlling them.
They hacked. And if I had to guess, based on what's going on, the Romulans hacked these things.
Okay.
Elements of the Romulan Empire. So at the time while this is going on, this is. Consistent with events that's happened in the first J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie in 2009.
They said that
so
this is supposed to...
And it ties in with the events of the comics, right? So the Romulan star is about to go nova, and so they're trying to evacuate all of the...
This resolves that Kelvin timeline, too, supposedly. From those 2009 Star Trek movies.
Yeah.
This show is supposed to... help resolve that timeline, supposedly.
Okay. Well, definitely, I mean, the only look that we got at modern-day Starfleet was Spock trying to save Romulus.
Right.
And then after that, it goes to the Kelvin timeline.
Right.
Because Spock ends up getting shot back in time.
Right.
Spoiler alert. It's 11 years old, so you should have seen it by now.
Dennis, thanks for the like on the stream, buddy.
But the idea here is that there are elements of Starfleet that do not want to help the Romulans, and this is discussed in the episode as well. And we can talk about that more in a little bit. But there's also probably, you know what? I'm going to save this. I'm going to save this till we get to this point in the episode.
Save it till we get to that point for sure.
But I'll theorize now, and I'll tantalize you folks, that it is probably the Romulans hacking these synths. I'll explain why later. Stay tuned.
Hey Peter, thanks for the like on the stream, buddy. So anyway, this is when that scene happens before they start taking down the defenses of Utopia Planitia, and the Romulans attack, and that's what this scene is.
Yeah, watching that synth go nuts to the butts was crazy.
Oh, dude, he was. I mean, it was like watching Nuts to the Butts, man.
Yeah, I worked it in.
Nice job.
No, he's like all of a sudden he gets hacked, and then he's like messing with the screen.
I know.
Like, hey, what are you doing? And he takes this like laser cutting tool and like
no, he like stabs.
He stabs the one guy.
Neck, man.
Yeah. And then this is an interesting point too, and this is something that will go along with my theory later. So I will leave it in. I'll say what happens, but I'll theorize on it later. Did you catch what he did at the end?
Killed himself.
He killed himself. Why not just sit there and, they're attacking the planet, the atmosphere is going to be burning for like 20 years. Why not just let that handle you?
Fair point.
There's something, his positronic brain is up here.
Something ticked wrong with me on that too a little bit. I thought that was see, and that's another good point to bring out. And just in general with the show, like the cinematography and the production value has been very good through the first 2 episodes, and that, especially in that first episode where you get the really like the under the shot close up of the Romulan phasers, so like astute Star Trek fans will know like that's a disruptor. That's a disruptor, man. Same thing with this scene too. Like they chose to end it with that guy shooting himself and offing himself. So what does that what does that mean? You know what I mean? What does that mean? So anyway, we go through the opening credits at this point, and we get to this scene in Picard. Villa de Picard, and they actually have a lot of these scenes, which I really Chateau, sorry, not Villa. Chateau de Picard.
No de, just Chateau.
Chateau Picard. Anyway, so they have a lot of these scenes with the chateau, which I personally enjoy because I really like the look of the chateau.
It's neat. I'd live there.
I really enjoy the look of the chateau, but if I can turn it over to you at this point, and I'll have you discuss the next scene here, where they're in the villa, they're talking about the sister and the apartment, and they're talking about scrub, like how it's been scrubbed and everything.
Yeah, so they decide, and critics of the show have been saying that, like, oh, it's apparently CSI Picard now.
Right.
So they...
Well, I mean, come on. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
Star Trek. To boldly go where no man or woman has gone before.
No, they're saying it's like too many other CBS shows is what they're saying.
Whatever. Dude, you know what'd be even funnier?
It was a 5-second scene in the show.
I know. People need to relax.
24 Picard.
24 is my favorite television show ever.
Oh,
Davey loves that show as well.
It's so good. It's so good.
Dude, have you seen? All right, I'm gonna go off topic.
It's fine. You're good.
They go to the
life, says Dennis. You're good. Keep going, buddy.
They go to the Daj's apartment. Daj who had been killed in the first episode. She's one of the androids, potentially Data's like daughter, and so like she had clued Picard in that her boyfriend had been killed, but because the Romulans who were in on the attack cleaned up after themselves, no police were ever alerted.
Right.
So there's no police line set up there, so like it doesn't look suspicious to just beam on in.
Yep, exactly.
So they pop into her apartment. She didn't exist, the boyfriend didn't exist. So they do a scrub of the apartment, and it's of course been wiped clean by whoever did it, and of course like this is clean. Yeah, a little too clean.
Yeah,
and so it's like, but sometimes when you clean, you over clean, and then we learn from your cleaning.
I noticed that. You know what? I'm glad you said something about that, because even on the first watch through for me today, I was like, all right, here's what is it? What do you refer to it as? A MacGuffin or
no? MacGuffin is something you gotta go find.
Right? No, not a MacGuffin. I said this last week too. I got the two confused. The plot, like that the
plot device.
The plot device was what he found on the desk, which was like, oh, this has been scrubbed, but not good enough.
Yeah.
Well, it's like sometimes when you scrub, you over scrub.
And then you
something
miss
about the scrubs.
I know, it's like you could scrub the scrubbity scrub.
So it's like, and I love that he's just like, there's like 17,000 things in the apartment. He's like, what about this?
I know, he goes right for it right away too. It's like, all right.
So what they learn basically, what they learn is like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. They're like, okay, so she got a sister. She's been communicating with her. So like, but like sometimes when there's a twin, they think it's the same person for a split second, and
before they report the error.
Yeah, and then it's like, so like we can't figure out where she is, but we know where she isn't, which is here.
Right.
Okay, so she's off-world somewhere.
All right. So she's there. She exists, but she's
The
off-world
conclusion
somewhere.
that they got to was in a real roundabout, like less impressive Sherlock Holmes way. Like Sherlock Holmes at least is able to logically deduce things. They're just like, this is probably it.
It did seem awfully forced, that particular scene.
But when you're crunched for time, you got to do stuff in 10 episodes. You got to move the plot along.
Yeah,
This is one of those things where like when you have a good story, characters act like they should act and behave like they should behave, as if they were rational decision makers.
Right.
When you get
from A to B,
when you get plot holes and when you get bad story elements is when the plot drives the story instead of the characters driving the story.
Right.
And so that's what we had here. It wasn't egregious because all they learned from it was that Soji was off-world. That's it.
She exists and she's not here.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm fine with that because it wasn't like we solved everything now.
Oh yeah, we gotta go to the Borg cube where she's at.
But what this is it's a plot device because they need to get into space somehow.
Right, and
So
now they know.
Somehow they're like, oh, we better go to space.
Gotta go figure it out. Exactly. So, to Grant's point, yes, this scene did seem a little heavy-handed as far as like this scene is here to tell you.
Fisted.
Yeah, ham-fisted, exactly. Heavy-handed, ham-fisted, whatever you want to say, man. It was like this is here to explain this particular plot point to you and drive the story forward. But like you said, not terribly egregious, because Patrick Stewart's a goddamn animal. That's all. He just can carry a scene by himself. So
I haven't seen subpar acting from anybody.
I haven't either.
They really casted it well, and the actors are doing a great job.
They are doing a very, very good job. Especially our actress who plays the twins. Now, right away in this episode, like the segue here is to the Borg cube that she's on. Spoiler alert. That her and this Romulan dude Narek.
That's the thing, we've been spoiling it.
I know this was all spoilers, but spoilers for the last episode too. Spoilers for why would you watch episode 2 if you didn't watch episode 1 though? You know,
It's okay.
You wouldn't. It's a silly thing to ask.
We don't need to decry spoilers.
No, we don't. Let's not visit spoilers. Tis a silly place.
This is a silly place.
Indeed. Anyway, so this particular scene, she's on the Borg cube, and she has a very important job on the cube. I think her job is to like de-assimilate people and like bring them back from Borgification. Borgdom, if you will. Yes,
I will.
You'll go there. And she's hooked up with this Narek guy. Now, if you watch the last episode, which I assume you have, if you're watching this, the last scene was her and this guy kind of getting a little flirty.
Do your circa 1999 Spice Channel music.
What? What are you talking?
Sounds more like Sprockets.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, so they're getting intimate, they're getting close, and that's maybe not so good for our main female protagonist here.
No, and we'll get into why
and
later.
We'll get into why a little bit later in the podcast here, but clearly they've developed relations. I wonder, like,
she riding on that Romulan.
Yeah, she is. And I'm wondering, is this like the night of like their first meeting, or has some time passed a little bit, or
listen, don't kink shame. Maybe she likes to bang strangers. Because she's like, I'm gonna say not much time has elapsed, because during the scene she's like, so tell me about yourself, and he's like, nope.
Yeah. Nope. Sorry, not
he's like,
sorry.
Here's what I'll tell you, I'm a private person.
Pretty much, that's how it goes. So yeah, they're having this discussion, and he's like, nope, not telling you anything really. So perhaps he's correct in that not much time has passed or whatever. Anyway. Oh, gotcha. Okay, just checking a message. Sorry, Panda Fam. So anyway, they're discussing, and it's just very, very troubling for our main female protagonist. Very, very, very troubling. For reasons like he said that we'll get into in a little bit here. This was a very interesting scene. And there was I feel like there's a lot of jumping back and forth between Chateau Picard and the Borg Cube.
Yeah.
And I was trying
It's not as egregious as Game of Thrones jumping, so.
No. What I mean to say by that is I'm wondering if there's some sort of juxtaposition here between the scenes themselves or the tone of the scenes, or
I didn't pick up on it, but I'm shitty at picking up at stuff like that. So
I like to think
you're better at it than I am.
I like to think of myself as actually fairly decent at that.
I mean, you studied literature and writing and all that stuff. So you notice things like that.
I couldn't pick up on that, so I'm thinking the juxtaposition is purely just to drive story forward, and there's no underlying dual meaning there, unless something develops in later episodes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And as episodes go later on, we can go back and rewatch and maybe pull stuff out.
Sure, absolutely. But the main, and this is, I forget what the doctor's name is, but he is a friend of his.
So the doctor, Malcolm, I don't know, but it was his doctor when he was on the Stargazer, which was the first ship that he had command of. So this is an old friend that goes back to pre-TNG days. This is a guy that knew Jack Crusher.
Yeah.
So,
and the interesting thing about this particular scene is the fact that, and I mentioned this before the series started. You called it? I didn't call it per se. I mean, it's just something that if you're a Trek fan, you know he's got aromatic syndrome, or has the predisposition for aromatic syndrome.
Aromatic syndrome.
And he's got the predisposition for this in the Next Generation. And
it comes out in the very last episode in All Good Things. It's something that
they touch on because of his. Well, they think he's hallucinating because of it.
Right, but it turns out to be Q, but it also turns out to be maybe he's got it, but it also is it's kind of left up in the air, but this settles it.
Yeah, the doctor basically comes in and he's like, listen, you're a healthy son of a gun, fit for service, it impresses me that you're more fit than you should be right now, except that, what did you say, the frontal lobe?
Yeah, he says except for that abnormality in
the frontal lobe. Parietal lobe, thank you, parietal lobe, that's right. And they touch on aromatic syndrome.
Yeah, they don't call it out by name. He says, I'm not even sure what it is. But there's a number of things that it could be, and none of them are good.
Right. Well, I think, doesn't he allude to the fact that whatever it is could actually stem from the fact that it's aromatic syndrome?
Well, no, it's not mentioned by name. He's just very vague about it. He says, except for that abnormality in the parietal lobe, we don't know what it is. It could be several different things. They all end the same way.
Not good.
Yeah.
Right.
So he's essentially got a death sentence at this point. We don't know timelines.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's a season 2.
Yeah, there's
a season 2,
and,
we know.
and rumored a 3. I guess this is written for 3 seasons.
Really?
There were rumors very, very early on that they killed him at the end of season 1.
What?
And then they named a ship the Picard. And that's what happened in season 2. But I guess he's already been seen filming season 2, so that's trash.
I was gonna say that'd
people would be furious.
People would be furious. You kill off the title character in the first season. Give me a break.
Only Game of Thrones can get away with that, and it wasn't even the title character.
It wasn't. It was just Sean Bean, who dies in everything he's in. So Spoiler alert for Game of Thrones. Sorry.
That also happened 10 years ago.
Also happened 10 years ago.
Welcome back, Brother Panda.
What's up, Brother
your
Panda?
Prince of Bel-Air. Come back in like that.
Oh my God, you savage. Anyway, so that's this scene. It's a very kind of sobering scene. And you're like, well, shit, man. Picard's got it. I mean, we all knew he would eventually not be doing this anymore, but he's that's it, the stamp, man. You gotta an end date, bro.
He's 79. All right, Patrick Stewart, Sir Patrick Stew is.
Hey, what's up, DJ Smith in the building? Welcome to the Picard review.
But
Panda fam, good shit, man.
That's fine. It basically, though, I think that this is actually just a plot device to make him just a bit more reckless. With himself, with his own health, and with his own life.
We'll see in the coming episodes for sure. He certainly seems to be going down that path in this episode, and I'm wondering, along with all of the other breadcrumbs that we've been left after this episode, if this isn't one of them. Like, oh, you can see, like, even, and we'll get to it too. Laris calling him, are you demented? Like, only an idiot makes that. I've never known you to be like stupid. So, like, I've got to assume,
not a stupid hit.
How many episodes are supposed to be in this?
10
for sure.
10. So, segue to the next scene, and this is another very important scene in the episode. He beams into what I take to be Starfleet
headquarters. Yeah,
and you're right. Like, there's a beautiful picture, and I'm kind of sad I didn't grab that, but I wanted to get the man, the myth, and the legend in this screenshot. But there's a really good scene of the wide shot of Starfleet Academy, and
not the Academy.
the headquarters. I'm sorry.
Academy's probably there too. It's all in San Fran.
There's people there that you see kind of in like the
there's probably like cadets,
cadet looking uniforms. So yeah,
there's a couple of telling things that happen right when he walks in the building.
There are I'm assuming the hologram is one of them.
Yeah. So gracious,
Dennis with the 50 star bomb. We're just here to talk and chit chat about Star Trek, man. No need to throw stars my way, man. Trek pandas, he says.
Just out there.
Cheers, man.
Cheers to you, Dennis.
Cheers to you,
man.
Dennis.
I got my sparkling ice. These things are delicious, dude.
Dude, you want me to get some for you? Like, have Elena give you the.
Get a glass. I'll pour you some whiskey.
Oh, for sure.
You want her to give you the site?
I just asked her how much they were. Yeah.
Anyway, back on top. Back to Star Trek.
I haven't seen it, so I.
This stream brought to you by our sponsor, Ice Water. Check it out, everybody. I'm sorry, I'm just kidding.
I think you needed to laugh after that. Cracks me up. I love it. So. Yeah, he walks in and looks up, and I'm sure it's just like a scroll of like famous ships, but you see the Captain Pike era, early TOS, Enterprise, NCC 171.
Oh, that was awesome to see.
And then it flashes over to Galaxy class starship that we, of course, is the Enterprise D.
Shot of that? No, I did not.
So he walks up, and then the guy's like, who are you? Which is like, what?
Are you kidding me?
And then he has to spell his name for the guy.
I think that was just supposed to be like an.
So like he's been gone for a while is what that's showing. So this is like a young pup, wet behind the ears, crazy millennial, zennial, doesn't know heroes like Picard.
Doesn't know these old trodden heroes like Jean-Luc. Yeah, no, I felt that too. It was kind of a funny moment where he's like.
But I think that would be somebody at like.
P.I.C.
That would be somebody at West Point not knowing who like Colin Powell was. Like, get out of here.
Right, exactly.
So he goes in and continue from here. Go ahead.
So he goes in and sits down with, I believe, it's Admiral Clancy is her name, but I think she's like Admiral of all things.
Yeah, she's in charge of the Starfleet.
And that's where this particular scene comes in. Sorry, I'm spatially challenged. This scene comes in. We're gonna dab on it over there. There you go.
In the front.
That's where that scene comes in, where she.
I don't think we need to point it out. They can see it.
You guys can see it. It's
the one screen that's changing. That isn't us
constantly. Yes. So he gets into he basically goes to her and asks her to like, I need a ship, like a warp drive capable ship. I need it like right now, and I need a crew. And she's like
real small. If my high profile's an admiral,
reinstate me.
Makes this bad. Make me a captain.
Reinstate me. Demote me from admiral to captain. It's one mission. Just can you please help me out?
And he's like, there's Romulan assassins on Earth, and he's like,
oh, I know.
Like, he lays it all out there for her, but does it like very quickly to the point where it's like not very believable, and she doesn't buy it. She's like, this just keeps getting better.
Which is funny because literally right before this scene. Oh, hold on a second. I gotta go back here. My fault, pandas. Like, right before this is the aromatic syndrome thing where like how that affects the mind and everything.
But they covered it up, so she supposedly doesn't know about this.
Sure, but still, to the viewer, we know. And he's coming across kind of dodgy at this point. He's there's Romulan assassins and blah. They killed this girl and she doesn't exist.
Also, I need a ship.
Also, I need a ship with a fleet and a crew and all this other stuff. And she's like, whoa, time out. First of all, homie. You trashed us on live TV
like 3 days ago.
3 days ago. So,
Talking pups.
like, the hubris on you. She even says, like, the hubris.
She says
fucking
huge.
I know, like, she drops.
G on
She
that.
drops that F-bomb on
Really hard G on
CBS.
it. Yeah, on CBS.
Dropping the hard F-bombs on CBS.
And then
fucking
kindly
hubris.
tells him to fuck off.
Basically, yeah, like, jog on, get out of here. Like,
Don't let the door hit you in the ass.
yeah. Don't let
You
the door
fuckstick.
Yeah.
Let the door hit you with a good Lord.
Permission denied is like the last thing you're like, you're done. Get out of here. Get out of here. So this is a really, really, really like tense moment between a representative of Starfleet, and they go into their reasoning behind it. Like she explains like why they did what they did with the Romulans and 14 other federations.
So this is what we were going to get into. So she says, she lays it out. He's like, listen, Romulans were our longest enemy. You wanted to save them. You felt we had the obligation to. But our ships got destroyed, so not only we don't have the ability to, but also 14 members of the Federation threatened to leave if we helped them because the Romulans were such dicks to them. So the Federation itself would have literally crumbled if we helped them.
Yeah.
And this is the principle of Picard. Picard will always do what's right no matter what. He's not pragmatic at all.
He'll do what's right, human moral wise.
Yes, that's what I mean.
He won't, and this is why I like
ethics.
He'll he's
He
ethically
will always
sound.
ethically do what he should.
He'll do the ethical. He's ethically sound, bro.
He the right thing to do morally is to save the people from dying.
Protect
the right thing
Humans,
to do,
and he makes that clear in the first episode. Humans, or like people or whatever he says.
Like he's lives. He says the right thing to do is to save the lives. Who gives a shit about an organization?
Exactly.
Yeah, and so like Romulans are one group of people. They have been our enemies, but saving lives is more important than preserving an organization. So I want to save the lives. So she explains it from Starfleet's perspective. He doesn't agree. He says, "I shouldn't have said that. I apologize." Maybe he doesn't apologize, but he says he shouldn't have said it.
He's like, I shouldn't have went off. He shouldn't have said it in public, right? He should have.
He's like, no, dude, that's how
I wanted to say this, but not in public.
Yeah, he's like, no, he's like, that's how I feel.
It's a very big difference there when you say, I didn't want to say this, and I shouldn't have said this in public.
Yeah, maybe I should have said this behind closed doors somewhere, is basically what he was saying. Like, maybe I shouldn't have been so outspoken with what I was thinking, but I still think that.
But the short of it is,
he
that
didn't
at the
really
end of it,
apologize. You know what I'm saying? He just said maybe I shouldn't have done that.
There was no standing down on either party.
Yeah,
really.
no.
The short of it is that she ends up like this.
Yeah, she does.
Pretty much. Deal with it and jog on.
You're not getting a ship.
You're not getting a ship, basically.
And he's just like,
fuck off.
Damn.
He's like, fine, I'll find my own damn ship. So we segue over to the Borg cube and our Romulan friends again, and we get a little glimpse of and I don't know if you guys can see it there, but I'm showing this picture in particular because
I don't know what that is.
one of them, like, this is a scene from the trailer too, which is starting to, I wanted to touch on this on a grander, like a broader view of this series itself. A lot of what we've seen in the trailers so far has seemed to be from the first couple of episodes.
With two exceptions.
Which are?
We haven't seen 7 of 9 yet.
Correct.
And we haven't seen Riker yet.
Also correct. That's a very good point.
But I think we're going to see both of them in the next episode.
I think you're right.
And I've got a reason for that. I think it's because when they premiered it, they showed 3 episodes.
Okay.
At the premiere in LA and also in England.
Okay.
They showed 3 episodes, and anybody who attended, they were like, if you speak at all and spoil these and leak anything, you'll never come to anything ever again.
Yeah, they're pretty much like that nowadays with exclusive content like that. So I was wondering how that was working out because I saw in the group, the shit posting group or whatever, like he was posting pictures.
Yeah, Kevin Herbstreit was there.
But
Kevin
he
Herbstreit,
obviously hasn't spoken about it or anything like that.
No, nor will he. He's a good dude.
He won't. He won't. And rightfully so. I mean, you got to keep that sort of stuff under wraps, especially for people who are purists about that sort of stuff. So anyway, they show this particular scene, and it's we've got Soji there, the sister. She's talking to another female lady person. And I thought it was interesting. They made a quick reference to how hot Narek was as a Romulan, which was kind of funny. But
and then the one chick's like, she gives like a racist comment.
Oh yeah,
she's like, I didn't think Romulans could be that hot.
Yeah, right. It's like
didn't know that, right?
Backhand.
Well, like
backhanded compliment.
I mean, like if you put that into like 2020 Earth, like that's like a horrific thing to say.
Right, that'd be a horrific thing to say.
It would be a horrific thing to say, yes.
If you said that, like, I didn't think any member of that race could be that hot, it's like, that's horrific. That's a terrible thing to say.
Massive oofs right there.
Big oofs. Big oofs in the chat.
That's one yike.
Big oof. One big yike.
I award you one big yike.
One big yike. Jesus. So yeah, they're on this particular ship.
Cringy compliment.
Yeah, cringy compliment.
A little bit, yeah.
More than backhanded or whatever you want to say. Yeah. So they're on the ship, and obviously there's been a particular amount of days since anybody's been assimilated, which is great and everything, but they also throw these patches on, which are supposed to put, like, protect them from the gray zone or keep them out of the gray zone.
Let them know if they're in the gray zone. So the gray zone on the cube is, they kind of hint that they're cut off from the collective, but they're not done being Borg.
Right.
And you see on the sign there that there's been, I can't read it from this far away, but some days since...
Faculty has gone 5,843 days without an assimilation.
Which, first of all, is hilarious that they have that sign up. I love that. They showed that in the preview. I think it's hilarious. Like, it's like those safety signs.
Yeah,
there's been without an accident.
30 days without an accident.
Yeah. So this is great. But that hints that, number one, there's still assimilations going on at that ship, which is interesting to me because, like, that means there's sections of the ship, this gray zone, that they don't have control over that the Borg still do. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Why aren't the Borg, like, repairing the ship? Why aren't they? And then Soji's job is to deborgify the Borg, while
deborgification.
Like, while I guess there are assimilations that had been going on elsewhere in the ship by active Borg.
It's a very unclear portion of the exposition, and we were talking about this before stream a little bit, that it might be, they might be purposefully doing this, or it could just be bad writing. Not really explaining what's going on. I hope
it's purposeful.
I'd like to agree with
back and be like, wait.
Right, exactly, and I'd like to believe it's the former rather than the latter.
Yeah, I think they're leaving it for a reveal for later. It's going to be a plot device. Somebody's going to like start getting assimilated or something.
Based on the amount of threads that you guys are talking about are being like woven in these episodes, like it seems like this series is going to kick some ass. Like, it feels like there's going to be a finale at the end.
We're trying to, like, let me be clear with everybody here. Like, we're not trying to be like fanboy shills for frickin' Star Trek Picard.
Right.
Like,
no, we're just telling you what we think. Watched it, man.
We're just telling you what we think is going to happen with the episode. What years and years and years of watching many movies and many series and being the friends that we've been for so many years. And talking about this sort of stuff, and me specifically,
I've known you since you were like
studying this stuff, like when I was in college and stuff. We're looking at it kind of as a, where can they take this? Where do we hope they take this? As kind of Star Trek fans too. I mean, sure, we're fanboys of the show and everything, but when it comes down to it, the whole point of these review series, and this is just the first one we're doing, hopefully in a series of many, many, many more to come. The whole point of these is to be as fair and as fair as possible, and I guess as constructive as possible too.
If parts suck, we'll let you know. If parts we enjoy, we'll let you know. Right.
If parts suck, we'll let you know. Like the whole them checking the apartment for scrubbing, and it wasn't egregious, but it was obvious enough that both of us immediately picked up on it in the episode. Mm-hmm. Same thing with this particular scene. Like, we don't know. We're very the two of us are kind of like, what are they trying to establish with this? Because when the two of us look at these sorts of things, specifically with Picard and in general, when we go to see movies or anything like together, like we go or we watch the similar series or whatever, we try and look at it as objectively as we possibly can in a way that every scene to me should mean something. Like,
so this is an age-old good writing adage. Don't have a knife in the first act unless you plan to use it in the third.
Exactly.
So having this gray zone, having this hasn't been assimilated sign,
what does
those
that
things
mean?
should be hinting that that's going to be a device to drive the plot later on.
Relevant in some way later on. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And that's what the two of us are looking for now. Early on in this series, we can speculate, we can theorize, we can do whatever we need to do. But
Oh, is it just you?
as far as moving forward, we'll obviously have confirmation of these theories or not have confirmation of these theories, and we hope that they follow a logical progression, that it's not too like out there like or egregious like we said earlier. But anyway, we digress a little bit. So they're talking about the gray zone and all this stuff. We cut back after they're done speaking about all of the gray zone stuff and the cube and how hot Narek is and all this other stuff. We get
by the way, the girl who calls out Narek for being a hot, even though he's Romulan, is talking to the chick that's banged him.
correct.
She's like, I know.
One for me. Exactly.
I already climbed that tree.
So anyway, to segue into the next scene, we've got Picard and Alison Pill. I can't remember what her name is in the damn show, but
Scott Pilgrim drummer.
Yeah, Scott Pilgrim drummer, newsroom actress as well. She's in the newsroom. But she and Picard.
Your mom liked that show, yeah?
Yeah.
Cheers to your mom.
Yeah. Cheers to that. I need another beverage.
Get a glass. I'll pour you a whiskey.
I will actually. So I'll set the scene. I'll let my buddy talk about it a little bit. But she and Picard are at the Chateau Picard, and they're talking more about Maddox. And I know you were talking about this earlier. She posits that the neurons and all this other stuff, and they're talking about the fact that she's a twin, and the twin could be out there. And
I've tantalized.
I'll go ahead and let him tantalize you, pandas.
Okay.
The idea with Maddox is that I'm literally talking to myself. The idea with Maddox is that he was trying to fractally clone data via a single neuron. It's explained in the first episode that this is done with twinsies, so you have to make two of them at once, so that explains Daj and Soji. It also is, when we talked about the episode of Data's Day, where he sent the subspace message about what he was doing to Maddox, it's theorized that this is where he got that single neuron in order to be able to make the clone happen. And so what he's done, though, is he has created these flesh and blood androids 3 years ago, which, by the way, is well after the ban. They've been banned for probably about 15 years. He disappeared and then did this somewhere 3 or so years ago. And then disappeared, so he's kind of a MacGuffin as well. They're going after Soji as a MacGuffin, which we'll get into in the next couple of scenes. But I believe that also that Maddox is going to pop up at some point in the show. When Panda gets back, I've got to talk to him too, because there's also one character that I mentioned that we know is in the thing that we've seen that hasn't been introduced on screen yet, and that is Hugh the Borg. So he's going to be in probably the next episode as well. I don't know if they'll expose that many characters at once, and if so, then we've gotten previews from almost half the season. So it'll be interesting to see. Hugh the Borg is another character that we haven't been introduced to yet.
Who's that?
Hugh.
Oh, right, yeah.
So we have to also get introduced to Hugh.
I was thinking about that maybe in the next episode.
Right. Well, but if so, then we'll meet Jerry Ryan, we'll watch her shoot up a bar, we'll meet Riker, we'll meet Troy, and we'll meet Hugh all in one episode. I don't know if they're going to do that, which makes me think that not only have we seen clips from episode 3, but also episode 4.
Possible. Very possible. Very possible. Sorry, we're just sipping on some apple juice here.
Yeah, it's delicious. Mm-hmm. From Colorado.
Yep, Colorado apple juice. So anyway, you posited your stuff and you
but I
tantalized.
just kind of talked about Maddox a little bit and that he's kind of off in the weeds and developing twin androids. Oh, and also, so we know that Data was in regular communication with Maddox. We also know that he was into Data's day-to-day activities. And so when Picard...
Data's day-to-day. Data's day-to-day. Pineapple apple pie. Pineapple pie. Data's day. Data's day. Data's day.
That's great.
That's a phrase.
I loved it.
All right.
So when he painted that daughter painting for Picard, it's quite possible that Maddox asked for a copy of it, which when he created the twins, that's how he knew the imagery to use, and did it as a homage to his friend who passed away, who aided in his research enough that he was able to make these enhanced Sung type that smells delicious androids.
Gotcha.
It's that fruit punch.
Is that what it is?
Okay, so that is
Punch.
so we go back to the Borg ship,
be vegetable punch,
and this
I don't know.
is this is a good scene in that we were talking again about this
just be a punch.
off stream a little bit.
Every time I take a hit.
They're shown de-assimilating one of the Borg here, the alarm and the optical input and all this other stuff.
Oh yeah, they
And
take it off his face and it's
I didn't capture that screenshot for reasons, obviously, but they do, like, they show you a close-up, like, which is cool. Like, you never actually see
awesome.
what happens or
You
like of
see
the
that-
process
that's
back
cool.
in TNG, which is
Right,
really
that's
cool.
what I'm saying. They got
They
the technology
remove,
for it. They got
they-
the technology to show
yeah,
how
they-
nasty that
They remove the piece from his
That's
face, and it's just
awesome.
like, oh yeah, it's like, okay,
That's like
actually what we
gets
used
to,
that
like-
was grape jelly.
yeah,
That sort
actually,
of like gets to what I was saying about earlier with like some of the remakes and reboots doing an actually good job with like really working, like, because all of these reboots have the technology now to CGI and make it pretty, but like you have to do that and then have your story actually be something fun to keep track of.
Mhm.
Yeah, and won't name names, but there's a lot of reboots out there that are doing a lackluster job of the latter while really pushing the former, like Michael Bay pushes explosions.
fair enough.
J.J. Abrams pushes lens flares.
Yeah.
Although this is pretty egregious with the lens flares too.
Oh yeah,
Whatever though.
whatevs. Anyway,
Yeah,
so we're
idiosyncrasies, right?
we're on this particular scene, and they're de-assimilating this Borg, and there's an interaction because they call this thing nameless or whatever.
Yeah, so this is an interesting thing.
Right. I mean,
So the idea is that the Borg have been all over the galaxy. Alpha, Beta, Delta, Gamma quadrants.
yeah.
They've assimilated races that the Federation hasn't encountered yet, that the Romulans haven't encountered yet. And so when they de-assimilate these aliens, they don't know what race they came from, and so they call them nameless because they literally don't know what to call them. They're like, we haven't encountered this race yet, but he's Borgified, so we're going to deborgify him, and he's a nameless race, and we'll figure it out when he's kind of like reassimilating back to humanity.
See, and to your point about that too, I'm glad you clarified that before we started the stream, because when I watched it, I thought of it more as like these people don't know what the Borg are or don't know what to call them, but that's a silly notion because it's only been 20 years since we last saw the Borg doing anything really, or 30, 30 years.
1990.
So anybody, I mean, like in relevant terms to the universe, like I don't think First Contact happened too far before like Nemesis and all that, did it?
Yeah, but the Borg came from, I mean, the Federation was exposed to the Borg in Q Who, which is back in like season 2.
I think. Yeah.
So, and then of course, you know, the real big Borg episode was Best of Both Worlds, where you have Locutus and
Right.
everything like that. And then that episode, I think, happened in 90. So season 2 happened in 88. So this is 32 years ago. And the way that they did this, and I think it's really cool, especially with the aging actors, is that this all happens in like real time with what's going on now. So we know that it was about 30 or 2 or so years ago that we were first introduced to the Borg in real time and in...
But not so long ago that people would have forgotten what.
No, of course
is the
not.
point that I was going
yeah,
for
yeah,
there.
yeah,
So
of
it's a silly point to think that they and again, I'm glad you clarified that before we got into the stream here. Back to Chateau Picard and
You're right, it does keep hopping back and forth. These are kind of the two scenes, and that's
I told you
other than
it's-
Dodge's apartment.
Right, and I think we're done with that place at this point now.
I'm sure
For the
there's
most-
no reason
for
to
the
go back
most-
there unless you just want to go like get a good night's sleep in a place where you know nobody's gonna bother you.
Yeah, because it's been scrubbed, over scrubbed,
Scrub,
scrub dubbed.
Scrub, dub, dub.
Yep. So yeah, it's just scrub it down.
You clean the scrub. I clean the scrub.
Yeah, scrub it down.
Cleanly scrubs.
Anyway, so the next scene in Chateau Picard is a really good one. You get the whole he takes out his old communicator and he's kind of almost looking longingly at that and then the sky, and he puts the communicator on and he uses it, calls somebody, and I don't know that the scene indicates who it is he calls.
It does not, but if you read the comic, you kind of have an idea, and they've been hinting at it for a while.
Sure. But it's not, and he'll get in, and we'll get into this in a little bit here, in a couple of minutes actually. It's not necessarily someone who jives well with Captain Picard. We'll just say that.
Yeah. He's like, don't hang up.
Don't hang. Yeah, please don't hang.
Tis I.
Tis I, Jean-Luc Picard. You must listen to me because I'm Jean.
And then he's like, don't hang up. Need a ship.
Must need a ship. Shh, don't hang up. Need a ship. Exactly.
It's like, I know you hate me, but I need a giant favor.
Right.
A
Here's
ship-sized favor, a starship-sized favor.
right.
With warp capability.
Next scene that we segue on over to after he has his little.
This is where the plot thickens.
This is where the plot thickens. And
You know what I'm bringing for next stream? I'm gonna bring my pipe.
Are you gonna bring some? I was gonna say gravy for the thickening plot.
Oh, that too.
Some gravy in a pipe.
I need to puff on a pipe when I say
Gravy
that
for
the
the
plot's
thickening
thickening.
plot?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can have some nice piano music to start the video. Fireside chat.
Fireside chat with Grant and John.
Bring a robe.
Exactly. Anyway,
Smoking robe.
yeah, smoking
Oh,
robe.
that'd be hilarious.
Oh my god. So anyway, the next scene we get a little plot thickening here. Exactly. I think we might see some more of this setting as well too.
Definitely.
The mischievous Commodore and her.
So, and
her
this is a funny thing too. Is
kind of almost emperor like. Yes, tell me about your Romulan plans. Yes, Axicor 66. Yes, exactly.
so, the trope is that like 90% of admirals that you meet are evil bastards in all. Like they use evil admirals as a plot device many times throughout Star Trek, and this just continues on in that trope.
Yes, pretty much.
Starfleet's been infiltrated.
Well, you know what? I don't think it's the admiral. I don't think it's the admiral that's been infiltrated. I think it's the Commodore here.
Well, for sure.
Who's
And Commodore's a
pulling-
rank that I'm unfamiliar with. I mean, I know what a Commodore is.
Me as well. I've never. I don't.
A Commodore is like somebody who's usually in charge of several ships. Like you're in charge of a fleet of ships, you're the Commodore of that fleet.
That's new though. I've never heard of that.
No, never in Star Trek.
Star Trek
Yeah.
universe.
She's got like
yeah.
a weird pip
Yeah.
on her uniform to
Yeah.
denote her rank.
It's weird.
Yeah, very
It's
weird.
different.
Weird.
It's very different.
Strange.
Anyway, so-
Yes.
So they're having an exchange, the admiral and this Commodore, and apparently it's. Let me see if I can. I don't think they say what her name is. Commodore.
Commodore Vulcan. They probably do at some point. I didn't pay enough
Commodore
attention.
I didn't pick up on it either. But Admiral Clancy, who Picard spoke with a little bit earlier, and this particular Commodore are talking, and they're going back and forth about how Picard went over this crazy theory about Romulan assassins and blah blah blah. And it's just he's delusional and it's sad and it's blah. So they basically this Commodore brushes it off like Picard's just some delusional old man spitting gibberish, right? But after the conversation's over, the Commodore gets a little get me Lieutenant Rizzo.
Yeah. Rizzo. Italian name.
Lieutenant Rizzo. So that's all we get from that particular scene, and again, a very specific ending to that scene with her asking for Lieutenant Rizzo, and we'll get to that here in a second. I was thinking more the guy who cracks home runs for the Chicago Cubs, but you know.
Yeah, of course.
So
I need Rizzo. I need a first baseman.
Sorry.
I didn't cut a scene from the particular exchange with Loris.
When she yells at him?
When she yells at him, and we were talking.
But this is an important scene, though.
It is a very important scene. I didn't cut it from there. I just jumped right back to the Rizzo thing, unless I did, and it's just out of order. No, it's not. I know. I'm spoiling stuff. I'm spoiling the podcast for you.
It was more of a tantalization.
It was a little tantalizer there. Picard with a backpack on his shoulder, walking in the wilderness somewhere. That's tantalizing. It is.
What?
It is.
So, Lars.
We were talking a little bit off stream about this. The one thing that's bothered both of us about this particular show is, and you know what? Maybe Lars spent a little time in Ireland, Killarney with the Blarney Stone, and she's a great actress. Don't get me wrong. Like, she's in the Badlands.
How's she in Badlands?
Dude, she's what's his face's wife.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. She's what's his face's wife.
Dehotified her for this.
They Vulcanized, or they Romulized her. That's what they did. They Romulized her with those pointy ass eyebrows and shit. I didn't realize there could be Romulans that were hot.
You bigot.
You racist. Anyway, so she and Picard have this exchange because apparently off scene he tells her what he plans to do, and she's like,
She freaks out on him.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, you must have dementia. And blah blah blah. All these references to him.
We were talking about our problem with her.
Oh, you're right. The fact that she's got an
Irish accent.
She's got a heavy Irish accent.
Why would a Romulan have an Irish accent?
Maybe she's.
Why would they not have a Romulish accent?
A Romulish. Well, how do Romulans?
Everyone we've ever met just speaks with an American accent.
What's a Romulish accent?
Yeah, we don't know. They all just sound.
Make one up.
They sound
Star
super
Trek
American.
Writers, make one up.
Yeah.
The onus is on you.
They seem to be
Star Trek
very
writers.
even cadenced and they get emotional, sure, but they seem very direct.
Well, they speak like Americans,
right?
Just like Klingons speak like Americans, except they just talk about honor a whole bunch,
right?
You know, honor. That's probably the universal translator. But if the universal translator in Picard sets it to give me an Irish accent,
give me an American,
give me an Irish. But even still, she uses Irish idioms too. So I just don't understand why this choice was made. Because she can clearly speak with an American accent, as she does in Badlands. Mm-hmm. And this would seem to jive with everything we know about Romulans.
The only thing I can think of that's been maybe not mentioned, or
is she even an Irish actress? Because if she wasn't, that'd be weird. Okay, yes, she is.
She is.
Maybe it's plot point.
We'll find out. Maybe, I don't know.
Perhaps it's a plot point. Perhaps it's just her Irish accent.
I bet you they don't explain it.
Coming through. I'm guessing it won't be explained. I'm sure there's not going to be a thing that's like, oh, she spent 10 years in Ireland with Picard.
No, because no,
I don't think that's going to happen. So that's kind of one of our sticking points with this. But the main thing with this is she gets into an argument with him, and he's like, you gotta. The guy is like, well, we can't let you go without us coming. Tal Shiar can't protect from Tal Shiar unless you're Tal Shiar.
Tal Shiar.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Scrubbing your scrubs.
Got to scrub your scrubs with the Tal Shiar.
And I like that the guy's like, fuck it, let's do it. And she was like,
You too? What? She smacks him and wait, what? What are you talking about? Don't get us involved in this sort of shit. It was very good, natural.
Picard's like, what am I supposed to do? Tend the fucking grapes?
Yeah, tend the Pinots? What? Come
Fuck out of here, that's not fun.
That's not, yeah, exactly. So
she storms off.
Yeah, she storms off.
But then we learned something extremely important here, Pandas. Extremely important. Because Geordi LaForge was in charge at Utopia Planitia
speak to this.
When the attack happened. We don't know to this point whether or not he's been killed in the attack.
Yeah, a lot of speculation. Is he dead? Is he alive?
Yeah. What's his nuts?
What?
Character's name? Dude, Romulan?
I don't remember. What is it? Shit.
Faramir?
Faramir, sure. Let's call it Faramir, sure. Faramir.
No. You knew it last week.
I know.
You made it a point to know it last week.
I had.
I rely on you for these things.
I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. I failed miserably. I know Laris's character because she's got an Irish accent, but I don't know.
Tie.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
So the Romulan guy's like, here's who you need to get. Riker. LaForge.
Oh, yeah.
He's like,
Riker, LaForge?
Yeah, he's like, go out and get those guys. He's like, you gotta go out and get, he mentioned a third name. Who does he say? Oh, Worf. He's like,
Worf.
go out and get these guys. You're looking it up?
I am looking
I'm gonna
it
wait.
up. Laris and Shaban.
Yeah.
That's why I couldn't remember. It's such a weird name.
Because it's an Irish name.
Oh, Shaban.
Siobhan is
It's Siobhan.
It's Shaban.
No,
Yeah, I know.
Siobhan is how it's pronounced.
Oh, is it?
No, that's not. It's actually
I've known one of these people, and that's what they told me.
the Irish name is pronounced Siobhan.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
That's not how this is spelled.
That's not how the Romulans.
It's spelled
Oh.
Shaban. It's
Yeah.
Siobhan.
Shaban.
Oh, so it's...
This might be them thumbing their nose at the Irish.
That's
like,
It could be,
hilarious.
actually.
Yeah. I love that you're here because you're right.
You're like, no.
Yeah,
No,
it's-
I'm not
it's-
even looking it up. I just know that.
Oh,
No,
okay.
it's like
I thought you were looking it up.
it's a girl Irish name and it's
Yeah.
SIO like BAN, but it's pronounced
AHN,
AHN,
yeah.
but it's pronounced Siobhan.
Yeah, it's pretty...
But this
the
is
weirdest
Siobhan
name.
spelled
It's
phonetically.
Gaelic,
Right.
man. It's
Yeah.
Gaelic. And you
Right.
look at a Gaelic... When you look at any Gaelic
Don't
word,
make no
and then you
sense.
hear somebody say it, you're like...
Hell did you get that?
So,
Yeah.
We
So
basically-
Siobhan says, get Riker, get Worf, get LaForge, which tells us that LaForge is alive. Which tells us that he wasn't at Utopia Planitia when the attack happened, but they hinted at the beginning that it was First Contact Day and the only skeleton crew was there, so he was probably off-world,
Probably,
reveling in the First Contact
It's a very
Day, big
good-
holiday.
it's
Big holiday.
an astute point to
Yeah.
bring up, and
So-
it was good writing on their part too,
Sure,
just by
yeah.
being like First Contact Day. Everybody take off, skeleton crew. That
Yeah.
way we can kind of explain how LaForge wasn't there.
Yeah, exactly right.
You know.
So Picard goes, I wanted to, but he doesn't overtly say it. He's still haunted by the death of Data at this point.
Yes. Oh, it's clear.
And he says,
Again,
well, it's
another
clear in the first episode. This episode,
another scene where
Yeah.
Patrick Stewart just again just
he's like,
Is
here's what's
just
happened.
is Patrick,
Here's what's
Patrick
happened.
Stewart is Patrick Stewart.
Sir Pat Stew.
Pat Stew.
Sir Pats, too.
So he says, I can't have them on board. He said, I'd love to. I wouldn't trust anybody more. But he's like, they're so loyal to me that they would put themselves at risk for me, and I won't have it.
Yeah.
Because Data did that. Data gave himself up for Picard, and it still haunts him 20 years later.
Yep.
And so that's why he won't think to ask any of them,
Sure.
at least not up front. And he knows their loyalty, he knows their personality, and this is not something that he wants on his conscience. Data's death has been like horrific for him for the last 20 years, and so that's just kind of like a new character development for that.
To that point too, though, I think because we've at least seen Riker in previews and in some trailer stuff.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna be his like sage guidance throughout this.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think they're not going to come with.
But they'll give him
Yeah.
the either the
They're
direction
his
or the
Force
guidance.
ghosts.
Yeah, they're his Force ghosts, in essence, they're his Virgil to his Dante as he travels through the depths of hell to go save it. Whatever you want to compare it to. I think that's what they're gonna essentially turn out to be throughout this series. Which
Yeah, that's probably accurate. And like Riker is not seen on a starship with him. Like they're sitting on a dock, and he's like, "Thanks for not trying to talk me out of this, old bean."
yeah,
So-
right, exactly.
Bean.
Oh, Bean. So anyway, we go through that particular scene. So we learn.
Wait, there's one more part.
Go ahead.
So he goes, Siobhan goes, well, then you need somebody who's got nothing to lose
yes.
and that hates you. And he's like, step ahead of you.
Already
Champ.
made that phone call.
Already made the call.
with my communicator, and that's what that whole scene was about.
Indeed.
Beep.
Okay, so
Beep,
continue.
Boop, beep. Segue to the next scene. So we've got Rizzo. This must be right after she gets called in by Commodore Subterfuge.
Commodore Perry.
Commodore Subterfuge, we'll call her. Or Perry, yeah, sure. Commodore Perry or Commodore Subterfuge. And they're going back and forth, and the Commodore shows her a picture, a video clip of something from the first episode where the attack happens on the sister.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Does this look like phaser
This
blast or disruptor?"
This is sort of like disruptor. So like they had scrubbed the video so that Dodge didn't look like she existed and the Romulans didn't look like they existed.
Yep.
It was just like Picard all of a sudden getting like
Blasted.
So
More scrub.
More scrub a dub.
scrub. But they didn't do a good job on this one because in the
This was not an
reflection on the
overscrub.
railing, you could see disruptor fire.
Yep. And
This was
the Commodore is none too pleased.
No.
So basically, what you can take away from this episode is that the theme is scrubs. And that there was an
Scrubs.
overscrub and an underscrub.
That's what they should have called this instead of Maps and Legends.
Yeah, like scrubs and overscrub and underscrub.
Hashtag scrubs.
Hashtag scrubs.
Over underscrub.
Over and underscrub. And legends.
Scrubbing on the top.
Hashtag
Scrubbing on the
scrubs.
bottom.
Over scrubbing, scrubbing
Zach,
all
what's
over
his
the
name,
place.
makes an appearance.
So yeah, they have a conversation, and basically,
Yeah.
it would basically insinuate that this Commodore knows
Yeah, so
What's
she's
going on?
behind what's happening here. This scene
Clancy
is,
threw him off,
Both of
and
them
blah
do.
blah blah. Yeah,
she's behind the attack on Daj. Rizzo is also in on the attack on Daj. But a key plot point here that they reveal is that they were not supposed to kill her. They wanted to capture her and extract information from her. The fact that they failed at this is bad news.
mm-hmm.
The fact that, and then also too, and I don't remember which scene it's in. I don't know if we've passed it or not. But with the Romulan technology fear.
Oh, that was they were talking about that's when they went to go scrub at the apartment, and they were like, "Oh,
So
we
they
don't
say-
do synthetics. We don't do all this.
Yeah,
we do just
Romulans
numbers
are
and
deathly
all this
afraid
other
of
stuff."
synthetics for whatever reason, and their computers, compared to Starfleet, are actually technically primitive
Yeah,
because
they work in zeros and ones, basically.
because they're very afraid of what happened.
Quantum computing, essentially.
So
Like,
They're not even on that quantum computing.
No,
train?
they're very afraid of somebody being able to hack into their systems and knowing their shit and all that. They're very secretive, very old school, very SS.
Hey,
Yeah,
man,
actually.
quantum computing makes it easier to hide your stuff.
Hide your stuff, yeah, but
Yeah.
they were able to hack into
Behind
the
the
synths,
times.
so
Mhm.
they don't want anybody to be
I'm
able
just talking
to
about,
reverse that on
real
them.
life.
Sure.
Yeah, I know. I'm just talking about real life, but yeah.
IRL.
That's crazy.
This is 200 years from now.
This is
Yeah,
is
it
Star
is.
Trek 200 years from now.
basically, yes.
300
That's
years from
insane, though.
So-
Nearly 300.
Was that what
Kinda
the
crazy.
point that you were trying to make there with that? Is that they're afraid of?
Yeah, they're like this is an important plot point that Romulans don't like synths. And so with the lady, like they wanted to like get a hold of Dodge, extract information from her, probably ostensibly on where to find Soji, where to find Maddox, and then they could end this bullshit.
See, I'm curious to know who's behind all of that, because I don't think the Commodore is behind all this stuff.
No, there's somebody higher up.
And I don't think, obviously, like Rizzo is her underling, so she's not.
Well,
this is a classic
interesting,
case. This is a classic case.
We
of
can
getting two
get into
birds,
this a little bit later.
two birds stoned at once, because killing two birds with one stone.
Yeah.
You know what I was
Well,
going for there.
you-
But
you didn't have to point
what the
it out.
Romulans did with this, not only did they like screw over Starfleet, but they also eliminated synths by using fear as a driver afterwards.
So, and we didn't talk about this. There, with the whole attack on Utopia Planitia, we know that somebody
somebody
didn't
did
want
something.
took over the synths, didn't want the thing to happen, destroyed the fleet that was supposed to rescue the Romulans.
Mm-hmm.
We know there are elements in the Federation that didn't want that to happen. We also know that the Tal Shiar did not want that to happen. This happened in the third comic. So Tal Shiar was operating independently of the Romulan Senate. And were trying to prevent this because they thought that the Federation was relocating them closer to the Federation so that the Federation could take them over. So there's a Romulan faction and a Federation faction that did not want the rescue effort. So it gives you two possible parties that could have hacked the
Course,
synths,
sure.
or plot twist of some sort of like demonic bastardization of an alliance between those two splinter factions. So there's several possibilities here of what could have happened.
Interesting.
But we're seeing that sort of play out here because there's a Starfleet person, there's a Romulan operative, and they're working. The Starfleet person thinks that she's commanding the Romulan operative, who's clearly been surgically altered to have some rounded ears and some standard brows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they make mention of that too, like, oh yeah, and in one of the scenes coming
That's
up.
cool. Was that a thing back in the old show?
Not that I know of.
Oh yeah,
Oh really? Okay.
There's a whole episode called "The Face of the Enemy" where
For sure.
they alter Deanna Troi to look like a Romulan and have her infiltrate the Tal Shiar.
Word.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
All right.
I'm gonna have to watch that.
I was gonna
episode.
say,
Go
like,
back
it's
and
cool
rewatch
if they're
that.
incorporating that now, but if they've been doing that the whole time,
Yeah, they've been doing it
that's
since
even-
the 90s, early 90s.
For sure,
that's even
for sure.
cooler, yeah.
Okay, so
That's like the episode where Troy kind of becomes a badass, and then after that, her character is different.
Oh, nice. Okay. Sweet. I'll have to go back and rewatch that.
And she's not just floating through space going, "Where are you?"
Yeah, what? I feel this. I feel that. I feel this. Okay. Awesome scene coming up here. Picard gets dropped somewhere in his little cruiser.
Yeah, it's not like any place on Earth we've ever seen because it's remote. It's a taxi.
It's very remote.
Dumps him off. Shuttle taxi.
Shuttle taxi dumps him off. He's got his old bag. It's a really cool picture, just like the Voyager, man. The Voyager that Picard is. You know what I mean? Like, he's out there. He's out.
Not Star Trek Voyager.
Not Star Trek Voyager. No, but we're talking about the go where no one has gone before. Dude. He's out there.
He is the Voyager.
That's what I'm saying. He is the Voyager. That's what I'm saying.
Just trying to clarify.
So, you know, he's got his little knapsack, or he's got his little, actually, you find out it's a bottle of wine that he has on his back. So he's walking to go talk to somebody, and we find out that it's his number two.
Number one.
Trying
to pop bottles, man.
Trying to pop bottles with his number two.
So this is the person who was his first officer on the Verity. The Verity was the ship that he was in command of in the Romulan rescue effort.
During the rescue, right.
The comic shows them having an excellent relationship. However,
she takes the fall with him.
Well, we don't know what happens. We don't know what fall. He walked away from Star Trek.
I think she goes down with him.
Okay, so
I think as his number one.
He didn't go down though. He wasn't chastised for this. He resigned in anger.
Right, and I think they also...
You think they took it out on her?
Took it out on her.
Okay. Well. So she's pissed at him for whatever reason. They go from having a great relationship in the comics to she's furious. So, and this is hinted at a couple of things. Number one, the conversation with Siobhan, where he's like, you need somebody that doesn't have anything to lose and that hates you. And he's like, I already made the call. And then the call was he hit the communicator. He's like, don't hang up.
Yep.
Assuming that she wouldn't want to talk to him.
Now, we had discussed this a little off stream about how this is maybe a very general umbrella to categorize hating somebody for. So we might find out in future episodes, like, some sort of fallout from that, or maybe something more specific.
We're going to find out. But I'm sure we'll find out in the next episode in their conversation.
I can't imagine that him leaving in protests and her being his number one would have any kind of benefit for her at that point. Like, I can't imagine, especially like with what just happened with the Romulans and the fact that he resigns under protest. I mean, I can't imagine that working out anything but poorly for his number one.
Yeah, and that's a great theory. I don't have anything, so we can roll with that. You know,
I'm sure there's a more specific reason maybe coming as to why she's so pissed at him.
Yeah,
but I think it all kind of stems from this general. It all seems to stem from this day when the synths attacked.
It was a big deal.
Took down
Mars is still burning 15 years later. So,
I mean, that could be a metaphor for Starfleet burning 20 years later still, and subterfuge and all this crap going on, and now we're getting to bigger, broader
we're getting down in the weeds.
Themes and
Star Trek.
Yeah, metaphors for the state of Star Trek and all this stuff.
We're getting into English teacher territory.
We are. We're getting way out there in the ether, Panda fam. But anyway, so we're talking about this scene where he visits his number one, number two. And she initially is like, just get the hell out of here. And it's weird talking
This is my favorite scene in the whole thing.
It's probably my favorite scene too, where he starts walking away and he's like, there's Romulans.
She says, there's nothing that you can say that would make me want to talk to you. He puts his hands up and he goes, there's secret Romulan assassins operating on Earth. She's like, God damn it.
God damn it. Is that the 86
yeah,
that
so
you brought?
The line and he kind of like swings it around behind him. She's like, she lowers her phaser rifle, which she had trained on him.
And she dumps out her water and she's like, all right, I'll have some of that wine. Let's see what you got to say, Picard.
86 must be a particularly good vintage from Chateau Picard.
We don't get any of that in this episode, which is nice. We'll get to see.
They tantalize us.
They give us a little breadcrumb there for the next episode. But what we do get...
Isn't 86 like a police? Like you get 86th?
No, 86 is a restaurant term.
Yeah.
You've been cut.
86.
Yeah, well, that means you don't have any more.
Yeah, you don't have any more.
Like, oh, we're 86 crawfish. So no more crawfish etouffee.
Maybe it's a really vague reference to like her being 86 patients. Who knows? I don't know. Like,
oh, we're really getting in English territory.
really
English
getting
teacher
deep
territory.
into it here, Panda Fam. I'm sorry, but anyway,
Making cosmic connections, bro.
the next scene that we get into is back on the Borg ship, the Cube, and dude is doing Narek is his name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Narek. He's doing a little bit of research, and his sister holograms in, and that's when we find out she's his sister.
His sister being
Lieutenant Rizzo.
Lieutenant Rizzo.
Lieutenant Rizzo from Starfleet Command.
Yeah.
And
Chicago Starfleet.
What's going on with Lieutenant Rizzo? They start talking in very, very mischievous tones, very mischievous words, and good. That sort of talk here, Panda Fam. So
so she gives on that she's playing.
She's playing Starfleet.
Yeah, she's playing the Commodore.
She's playing the Commodore.
She's acting subservient to her. She's like, got that bitch right where I wanna.
Yep.
And then you hinted at the big reveal that you're my brother.
Yeah, she talks
And then
about.
she's like, also you've been plowing the synth.
Yeah.
Also, I'm coming here.
Yeah. Also, yeah.
Like, we need to get results because people are gonna be pissed off.
The Tal Shiar, probably.
Yeah. Or the other thing that we haven't talked about yet, the other organization. There's like, within the Tal Shiar, there's a Tal Shiar. There's levels of Tal Shiar, and this one's like a super secret Tal Shiar with a different name.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Even the Tal Shiar can't protect you from the Tal Shiar. It's like, what the hell? Yeah.
Tal Shiar can't protect
Well, we're
Tal
talking about one of the chateau scenes when Laris and Shaban are talking to him, and they're arguing about him going and doing this, and that's when like she hits Shaban, and she's like, because she's like only the Tal Shiar can protect you from the Tal Shiar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but there's this special like,
which is, it's funny because they've never mentioned anything about the two of them actually being Tal Shiar until he says, "Well, then you two should come with me."
well, they're in the comic.
I'm talking about specifically in the show. That's
Correct.
why this is a very good episode, in my opinion, despite some of the ham-handed exposition.
So the cool thing is that the comic sets it up nicely,
It does,
but it also stands alone. But you also don't need it.
right. Well, that's what I'm saying.
It was executed very nicely.
The comic book, the 3-volume comics does a very good job of like Grant said, extrapolating upon the information that's in the episodes, like really detailed information. So you find out that like Shaban and Laris are Tal Shiar. Picard saves them, or they bargain for their passage off the planet with him and whatever. And then they end up becoming his wards, essentially, for the last 20 years.
Which is weird for like super secret agents, but whatever, I guess.
I mean,
Maybe they feel indebted to him, I guess, I don't know.
perhaps, and maybe it's
So the comic is like real, like they flip back and forth about like 3 times in the third comic.
really
So like,
okay.
we're Tal Shiar. We're gonna attack this Romulan colony and free Picard because the colony is trying to take over the Verity. But then we're gonna beam up to the Verity and we're gonna take it over from the Romulans because we're not Romulans. We're operating as Tal Shiar. And then a Tal Shiar warbird shows up and they're like, "Nice job." And they're like, "Actually, maybe not." And then like 2 more Romulan warbirds show up and they're like, "Actually, like." The Tal Shiar is operating separately from our command. They're operating independently. And they're like, you know what? Actually, the real Romulans and not the Tal Shiar are the best, so maybe we'll just roll with them.
And
like,
to be honest with you too, that actually goes in line with what she says in the very last scene as sister. How she's like, "Well, my number one priority is your survival, and then mine."
Mm-hmm.
So like, I'm assuming the 2 of them are Tal Shiar at this point,
or they might be
associated with someone.
I'm gonna look this up
who is Tal Shiar,
because then it's gonna bother me.
But what I'm saying by that is you talk about how these 2, Laris and Shaban, flip in the 3rd comic a couple of times, and that could just be their to your point about them like
Zatvash.
Yeah. Zadvash. To your point about them becoming like wards of Picard or whatever, perhaps that's the best route that they see to protect themselves.
Well, that's just it. It's like, who should we hide with? The most high-profile admiral of all time on his ancestral vineyard.
Well, Fair point.
That's not a good hiding place.
It's
just
not
like Tatooine's not a good hiding place for Luke
Fair enough.
and Obi-Wan.
Fair enough.
Like, where should we hide? How about your dad's home planet with his uncle?
Yeah, it's
Not a great hiding spot.
a good point. Very good point.
How did you not
Okay.
find this guy?
From that perspective, yes, I can understand. As Picard is like a
I
high,
didn't want to deal with it.
as a high, but then you hear,
Says the
but you
Empire.
also hear about the Starfleet talking about Picard being like a non-factor until he wasn't a non-factor anymore, and he came to Starfleet and was like, "Yo, the Romulans are trying to assassinate some bitches."
are coming. The Romulans are coming.
Anyway, so at this point, we're pretty much at the end of the episode here. This is your big reveal at the end of the episode that the two of them are brother and sister. That they're
your sister.
that they are Romulans undercover.
Oh, and they
She's
say
been
too, yeah,
undercover.
like they're trying to get at Soji for the same reasons that they were trying to get at Daj. They say like if we fail at this, we're both dead.
Yeah.
So like we need to
can't
really not fail at this.
again. And again, another scene from I believe the trailer where he's talking about she doesn't even know who she is or whatever.
Yeah,
from
something like that.
Excuse me. I think this is from the preview I grabbed, if I'm not
Is
mistaken.
that Hot Narek there?
Yeah, let me go back. That's Narek and his sister talking, and this is from again the trailer where
Good
he's
genes.
like,
They're both hot, I guess.
I guess they're apparently hot Romulans exist, and they're the only two. So
Troy wasn't a bad looking Romulan, although she did get the heavy brow.
true. I guess all the good genes resides with these two siblings. I don't know. But this is I believe it's from the preview for the next episode. And this is where they're mentioning where she doesn't know. She has no idea what she is. And I'm pretty sure they're referencing Soji at this point. But that's pretty
Counselor Troy's a Romulan.
Yeah. Not so great looking there. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. The Romulans have like the forehead thing going on.
Yeah, when you
there.
looked at the de-assimilating Romulans, some of them had them, some of them did not.
Sure. So anyway, that's the end of the episode here, folks. Obviously, the first episode was a very good introduction back into the universe of Star Trek, and specifically the Next Generation with Picard. At this point, through 2 episodes, this is not your father's The Next Generation, clearly.
No, it's dystopian, it's different, it's serialized, which DS9 sort of was, and Discovery definitely is. People that like the standalone episodes are not enjoying this, but they can buzz off because you can only do that so many times and you run out of ideas. And this is something different, but with familiar characters, but they're in unique circumstances. And I think that I'm excited to see where this is going to go.
I honestly, this is to that point. I don't know that this is going to appeal to your hardcore Gene Roddenberry Trekkies. Roddenberry Trekkies. And we talked about that a little bit. Like his vision for Star Trek was a utopia where everybody acts on their best intentions and their
best
morals. And
if they're not, it's because something evil took them over. And
what's nice to see, especially we're here in 2020. The serialized thing is I actually enjoy that.
Oh hell yeah!
I like the through thread and what we're gonna get to at the end of 10 episodes, and then into season 2. I mean,
and potentially 3,
and potentially 3 as well. So, I think people are going to have their opinions about this particular show. Like I said at the beginning of the podcast, it's doing well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm hearing rumors that this is absolutely crushing Star Trek Discovery.
Oh,
Which is interesting also because from what I hear, there's budgetary constraints for season 2 because they overspent on Discovery.
Interesting.
Yeah, which they might have to rethink their ink because this is going to be the cash cow.
These are all rumors at this point. Nothing confirmed.
Yeah.
Just what we've read and what we've heard, specifically Grant. But I agree with you. This is not your father's The Next Generation. It's dystopian. I like it. I like the fact that we have a Starfleet that's maybe maybe a little bit
compromised.
Dark.
Yeah.
You know, it reminds me of like you said, the best of both worlds, where he gets compromised as the Borg, and that's still hanging out there for me. I know it's a tangent in regard to the show, but the fact that
it'll play in.
He was part of the Borg.
Well, so here's the thing: you've got people getting deborgified. You got a Borg cube. You've got 7 of 9. You've got Hugh, and you've got him, all of which were Borg at one point.
Right.
So it's there.
How's that?
It'll come in.
How's that going to play? I wonder. I wonder indeed. Anyway, so that's the end of the episode. We kind of theorize and speculate throughout these podcasts, and this is just the second.
We do it in real time.
This is just the second episode. You know, we're open to feedback and constructive criticism. If you guys want to see something or
we're gonna do 8 more.
We're gonna do 8 more of these episodes. So pretty much the next 7 will be for supporters, for you guys, and then the finale will be for everybody. I might change that format up a little bit. I might go every other episode, 1 live for everybody, 1 live for supporters. So half of the season is for supporters, half of the season is for everybody.
I got to do that.
I like the finale and the premiere idea, though. Just like that whole hype idea.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I don't mean to digress, Panda Fam. I appreciate those of you who stopped by, Justin, Dylan, DJ, Dennis, you supporters that are out there supporting my page.
Big ups.
I want to thank you guys very, very, very much, especially this guy to the left of me here. Not only has he been
me?
I pointed to you.
Yeah,
Not only has he been like a brother from another mother for me for the last 20 plus years of my life, but he is very knowledgeable when it comes to Star Trek. I know he'd be interested in doing stuff like this, not only just Star Trek wise, but other review series that I've talked about with him, namely the Lord of the Rings.
If you watch Doctor Who, I'd do those with you, but you don't. So it's like
I've also
what's
heard
coming
this
out
season's
too?
trash. I've also heard the season's
new season's good.
Not so good.
No, new season's good.
All right. Fair enough. I'd like to hear.
Season 11 is trash.
You know what,
Season 12 is bringing it back.
You know what you're gonna love?
I got hope.
You know what you're gonna love?
What's that?
It's in development right now. We're gonna do a review series on it.
What?
Wheel of Time.
Ooh, I've heard that's quite good.
Do you know what it is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. It's like they're spending like stupid amounts of money on it.
What I was disappointed to hear was that the Dark Tower series was canceled.
All of them?
No.
Yeah.
It was canceled. The pilot didn't go over so well.
Well, maybe they could fix it. That happened in Star Trek. It happened with the Cage.
True.
They had to redo it.
True.
Came up with Kirk and crew, and then here we sit 50 years later. So.
I want to find someone who's gonna take care of that universe like it's their freaking child, man. Because that's what that universe deserves. It's like
Kevin Feige for.
Yeah, exactly. Like a Kevin Feige for the Stephen King universe, man.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who's got vision and who can plan this stuff out. There's seeds there. There's seeds there. But
the story elements are all there.
Well, I'm talking even the show elements, man. Yeah. Castle Rock, Pet Cemetery. But I digress. We're getting off topic of Picard. I could go on for days when it comes to Stephen King, and there will be a Stephen King.
You should get some Stephen King tattoos. That's what you should do.
You should.
Oh, you mean like the ones I had on my arm? Anyway, so at this point, we're going to go ahead and end up the podcast. I want to thank everybody for coming on out again tonight. I want to thank my best friend and again my brother, Grant Sabo. His Star Trek knowledge is second to none.
Second to a lot, but
Shut
it's
up.
good enough for
Shut
this.
up. I'm going to toot your horn. You let me toot your horn, damn it. It's second to none.
You ain't going to toot your horn. I'm going to toot it for you.
You ain't going to toot your horn. I'm going to toot it for you. Your StarCraft, your Star Trek knowledge is second to none.
The Zerg are attacking.
See? See what I mean? StarCraft knowledge. And I want to thank our special guest, Brother Panda. I know he didn't really...
For not doing anything.
I didn't know he didn't really comment. He didn't really comment specifically in regard to Star Trek, but from a casual fan's perspective, someone who never saw
stories,
but who never saw Star Trek before, he's like, hey, I'm kind of interested in all the threads.
You know what? Here, I'm gonna equate it to this.
Doing some work here.
Do you know when, like my grandmother, she used to make this roast beef, right? It was delicious. But what she would do is she would stick a knife in there and she would take whole cloves of garlic and stuff it in the beef, right? So you're eating this roast beef and it's delicious, and all of a sudden you come across this delicious roasted piece of garlic that's been cooking in the beef juices for a long time. That's what he is. He's like the roasted garlic. So like we got the beef going on, and you get to this garlic and you're like, oh yeah, that's awesome. What a great point. What a good job.
Nice job, bro.
Oh, that's hilarious. That was a great metaphor.
And on that note, Panda Fam, we're going to go ahead and call it a night. I want to thank you again for coming out to our Star Trek podcast. Next week, we might do this for everybody. Again, like I said, we might flip it up back and forth. But you all have yourselves a good rest of your evening. Thank you again. We will see you all. I will see you all again tomorrow. Have a good evening, Panda Fam.
Adios.
Catch you next week.